Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. So inshallah we'll go and start. In today's session, we are going to learn the process of divorce as mentioned in AlQuran. I have collected a number of ayats from different surahs which talk about how the process of divorce should take place according to the Quranic injunctions. First of all, a brief history. In Arabia, before Islam and Quran, there was a process of divorce. And the process was such that a person would divorce his wife and she will go to some place to live, her parents or some other relatives or somewhere else. And then after some time, the man will go back to her and says, I want to keep you. So they remarry and he brings her back and they live like husband and wife. Again, it will happen after some time and he will send her away by divorcing her and then later remarrying her and bringing her home. So this process continued before Islam, and it became like a joke in terms of the relationship between husband and wife, that he can divorce her as many times as he wants and he can go back and bring her home by remarrying her. So that was the history before Islam. Islam, when Quran arrived, it defined exactly how the process of divorce should proceed once a man or a woman decides that this marriage cannot last anymore. So before I go and explain the verses which are listed here, I want to give a summary of all these verses. So when we are learning the meanings and explanation of the verses, the whole picture will be in front of us. According to the Quranic process, if a person, or let's say a man, wants to divorce his wife, he can tell her, I am divorcing you. And the process starts. At that time, a waiting time, which is called iddat in Arabic, starts. It's a count of a number of days. And we will see how many days. Typically, it's a time of 3 months and 10 days, but it is measured based on the period and the cycle of the female. Okay. So the count starts. In that duration, until the count is finished, in that duration, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages the man to keep the wife in the same house, treat her nicely. But if she wants to leave and go to her folks, kindly send her away. But the process is not finished yet until that period has gone of 3 months and about 10 days. Now, in that duration of iddat, which is the waiting time, if both of them decide to reconcile, they talk to each other and they says, let's forget, we want to remain husband and wife. She comes back and lives with him just like nothing happened. Okay. But if this period or iddat expired, then a divorce is finalized. What happens after that, again, is a different process. After the divorce is taken place, the iddat has been expired, both have the right to marry whoever they want to. They also have the right to marry each other again. That's very important. They can remarry to each other, and this is very simple process. They don't have to go to a qazi or they don't have to bring the witnesses. They can commit to each other that we are remarrying to one another, same husband and wife, and make the announcement. And then they are back in their homes living together as husband and wife. But in their book of life, one divorce has been written down. Then they started living together as husband and wife, and process continues until some other time comes when they cannot live together again. And the divorce happens again. She goes or she stays. Both of them have been told to stay kind and cool. And in this, the count of the iddat starts again from 0. That same number of months. If in that duration they try to reconcile, the important word is to reconcile, then nothing happened, they become husband. They remain husband and wife again. But if the iddat passes, if that period goes away, then second divorce is taking place. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given another opportunity that they both can marry to whosoever they want, or they can remarry to each other. If they remarry to each other, they are husband and wife, but in their book of lives together, 2 divorces have been written down in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They live together, but if happens this third time and he divorces her, this is final. She and he cannot remarry to one another. Okay. So that is the process of divorce as defined by the Quran. Okay. In this process, during the iddat or after the divorce, there are certain things which are to be done, which are listed in these verses of the Quran. So keeping that in mind, that divorce is not just a simple 5 minutes job. It may take a long time to finalize, and in between you have the opportunity to reconcile, remarry, and continue your life as it was. So with that in mind, we will inshallah go and learn some verses of the Quran. The first one here is, if you follow up the handout, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 227, is giving the permission that talaq is okay to have. Not like in some other faiths and religions it was forbidden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and I will go as much as in details about the Arabic words so we really understand the full context of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, وَإِنْ عَزَمُوا الطَّلَاقَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. وَإِنْ Azam is a firm determination. If the husband and wife have determined firmly that this is it, we cannot live together, we have to split, we have to separate, then Allah says the process of the talaq, divorce, separation, leaving each other will start. The literal meaning of talaq is to leave, to go away, to separate, to split. So Allah says if the determination is there that this marriage cannot work anymore, you are permitted, husband and wife, to go on their ways and depart from each other, and that is the process of talaq. Talaq will start when the azm has been done, it has been determined completely that there is no other possibility of living together. Then the process of talaq will start. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ayat number 228 of Surah Al-Baqarah is defining what is the waiting period, which is called iddat in Arabic, after the divorce has been pronounced. The two have agreed, they have made the azm that the divorce will begin. Then there is a waiting period, a time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what is that? وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ Al-mutallaqatu is the plural, divorced women. Okay. The word al-mutallaqat is the one who has been divorced. The process of divorce has begun. Allah says, يَتَرَبَّصْنَا بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. Salasa means 3. Qurun is a plural, which means the period that a female goes through. okay, one cycle, which is close to 1 month. So salasata quru is about 3 months or few days here and there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that salasata quru, that women will hold them back from remarrying for 3 months and so, which means in that period when the iddat has started, the remarriage cannot take place. It's a waiting period for the women, it's a holding period. Yatarabbasna means they will have patience, they will have sabr of holding back from remarriage. So that's the first condition, that after the process of divorce has begun, the time has been specified around 3 months. In that duration, the women have to hold back. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is instructing one more thing to the women, which is saying, this is the continuation of the ayat number 228 of Surah Al-Baqarah, that if the process of divorce has begun and they are still in the waiting period, then if the woman is pregnant and her pregnancy is not exposed, she is not supposed to hide the pregnancy. Why? Because if she did that and she remarried later on to some other man, it will not be known who the father of the child is. So Allah says, وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ, for the women, it is not lawful, it is not permissible. Yaktumna, aktumna is katama, means to hide something, that they should be hiding ma khalaqallahu, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, fi arhamihinna, in their wombs. Arham is the plural of raham. Raham is the belly or the womb where the child starts. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are not supposed to hide that they are pregnant. If the process of divorce has started, they have to announce that they are pregnant. In kunna yu'minna billahi wal yawmil akhir, if they are the believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the day of judgment, then they have to follow the injunctions of the Quran, that they cannot hide if they are pregnant when the process of the divorce has begun. The iddat has not been completed yet. Okay. Now, we will continue to the next part of the ayat. This is very important. The process of iddat is in the count, which has not finished yet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and look at the bottom ayat of the surah, of the page, وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ إِنْ أَرَادُوا إِصْلَاحًا. Very important thing. بُعُولَتُهُنَّ means the husbands. The husbands of the women who have just divorced, okay, the woman. Allah says ahakko is a superlative degree of haqq. They have more right. The husbands who just divorced the wife, they have more right biraddihinna, to return them back to themselves. Fi zalika in aradu islaha, if they want reconciliation, if they want to join together, they have more right to marry, to bring the same wife back again. This is before the 3 processes are finished. 3 sessions are done. So 2 things, either in the period of iddat, which is 3 months and so, they reconcile to one another, they have more right. If the iddat has gone, talaq is final, but now they can remarry to each other. So let's continue reading that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَهُنَّ, on the top of the next page, مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. And the women also have certain rights. It is not only the men have the right, and we will see that as we proceed in the verses of the Quran, a woman can start the process of divorce. She can say, I don't want to live with this man, there are certain conditions that have to be met, and the process of divorce can start from the woman's side also. This process in Arabic is called khula, and it has certain conditions to complete that. So now, here it is very important. We go to the next ayah. So this is the process of talaq. Divorce has to be pronounced. A period iddat has to start counting, the waiting time. At the end of, before the end of the iddat period, they can reconcile and they continue living like a husband and wife, like nothing happened. If the period ended, iddat ended, then they both are free to marry to anyone or to marry to each other. Okay, so far that is the process. Now Allah says in the next ayah 229, at-talaqu marratan. The word marratan is a plural of two. Marratun means one time, marratan means two times, which means this can be done only twice. Not like in the time of pre-Islam that a man will divorce his wife, remarry, divorce his wife, remarry. Process continued. Islam stopped that process. It says you can divorce, you can remarry only two times. Marratan means that. Okay. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the process of these two marratan, what is man can do? فَإِمْسَاكُمْ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. Imsak means to hold back, to keep someone with him. He can keep her in the same house, feed her, treat her nicely, be kind to her. If she wants to go somewhere else, live somewhere else, she has the freedom to go, and he still has to support. A period is not gone, the iddat is not finished. Next part is أَوْ تَسْرِيهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Or if she wants to go and not live with you anymore in that period, Allah says, send her away with kindness, with nicely. Okay. Then in that duration, or even after that, the next part of the ayat is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is instructing the man now. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ. It's being told to the man, it is not permissible, it is not lawful for you. أَن تَأْخُذُوا, that you take back مِمَّا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ شَيْئًا, if you have given her anything. You have given her gifts, you have given her jewelry, you have given her a nice car, you have given everything when you were married. When you are divorcing, Allah says, La yahillu, it is not lawful for the man to demand, no, leave the car here, give me all the jewelry that I gave you, all the gifts, all the money, all the bank account I opened for you. Allah says, not lawful that you take all those things back from her. While you were married, whatever you gave her, it belongs to her. Okay. Then in the next part of the ayat, which says a woman has right to seek divorce too. That's called khula. So let's understand that. Allah says that they can try to stay together as much as, but if, let's say, a woman decides, I cannot live with this man, then there are certain conditions for the khula. This word, Quranic word is khula, an Arabic word. What is that? Let's understand that. إِلَّا أَن يَخَافَ أَلَّا يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ. Here the ayat, the word yukhafa is from khawf, from fearing, from worrying. Grammatically, this word is being used for two people. If the two of them, one husband and one wife, they both have this fear in their mind that they may not be able to keep these limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The limits, the setting of the life, married life and divorced life, if they cannot continue working as Allah has defined a marriage, they both have the fear that فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ. Then all the other people are being told that if these two people also fear and you also fear that this marriage is not going to work out, it's not going to continue the married life together for both of them. The outside people are involved as well as the husband and wife themselves. Then Allah says, woman has the right to say, I'm done, I cannot live with you, but with a condition. Fala junaha alayhima. Allah says there is no sin upon both of them. Huma is a grammar of two people, husband and wife. Fi maftadat bihi. In that woman gives something and say, I'm getting out of that. She says, keep your dowry, I'm not living with you anymore. Meher, I forgive. I'm out of this thing. She has the right to take some burden out of the husband and walk away. Okay, so this is the process a woman can do, that she says that because at the time of marriage we said mahar amount was so much, now I'm leaving you, you have to give me that. No, if she has to get out, she has to compromise. Let this go, let that go, keep your car, I don't want to be in this house anymore, let me go. That's called the process of khula. That is the right that has been given to the woman, but she has to be considerate that she cannot overburden the man she is leaving, because she still demands that on the paper of the marriage it is written that he will give me $1 million as the mahar. He has to give it to me, because it was written that whenever I demand he will give me that. She has to compromise if she wants to get out of that. Then then the next part, next ayat, very important, ayat number 230, it says, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدِ. Let's break this word down. The word is فَإِن. It is coming after the ayat, previous ayat, which is 229, where it is started at-talaqu marratan. The talaq is 2 times. The divorce is only twice. And I mentioned what 2 times means, that marriage, iddat, ending, waiting period, marrying or remarrying, but twice it has taken place. After that, ayat number 230 says, فَإِنَّ. Then after 2 times of talaq, طَلَّقَهَا, he divorced her. This is a 3rd divorce. فَلَا تَحِلُّ, then she is no more lawful. Lahu, to him, mim ba'd, after that. They cannot marry a 3rd time. 2 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was kind to them to permit to finish their mistakes, get together, remarry to each other. But Allah says if he did this 3rd time, then if after doing 2 times, طَلَّقَهَا, he divorced her, ha means her, فَلَا تَحِلُّ, then she is not lawful. Lahu, to him, she can marry another person, but they two cannot remarry to each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says after this process is done. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, the ayat continues, that there is a possibility, but that is not a very practical possibility. Don't abuse that possibility. So let me translate that. In the terminology, the woman who has been divorced 3 times have gone, she is free to go and do anything else. Okay? But she is not allowed to remarry the same person, the ex-husband, anymore. She can marry somebody else. They live their life happily. After that, a new husband and this ex-wife. Many years went by, 10 years, 20 years went by. Maybe the next husband died, or they got divorced, or anything happened. This woman now is permitted to go back and remarry the same ex-first husband. This process is mentioned in this ayah. Hatta, she is not lawful after third divorce, hatta, until tankiha zawjan ghayrahu, she marries another husband, ghayr, some other husband, not this husband anymore. Now, as I said, time went, he made new husband after many years or whenever he is not there anymore, or he divorced her. Fine tallaqaha, now if he divorced her, fala junaha alayhima, Allah says there is no sin upon them, the ex-husband and ex-wife, ayyataraja'a, that they return back to each other with the condition in zonna, if they think an yuqima hudud Allah, they will maintain the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the modern culture, this process is called halala, where a woman who has been divorced, three divorces have taken place, she is purposely married to a person who marries and divorces her next day. So this is called halala. It is haram actually. It's forbidden to do the halala. In some cultures, some Maulvi Hazrat, they themselves do the halala. They will take the divorced woman, marry with her, keep her one night, spend night with her physically. Next morning they will get up and divorce her. So now she can go back and marry to the previous husband. This is completely haram. Okay? But it is being practiced. May Allah protect people from all these things. Quran strongly forbids that thing. This is not the way Quran is teaching how the process of the divorce should proceed. Let's continue, ayat number 231. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so in ayat number 200, okay. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues mentioning in Surah 231 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching man something. What is being said, let me explain first in this ayat, then I will do the breakdown. And it is first time husband and wife living together, they disagree on multiple things and they decide, or he decides that let me divorce her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the previous ayat and in this ayat is telling that if the divorce starts, be kind to her or keep her with all the support until the period expires of waiting, or send her away. But don't do one thing. Don't keep her purposely with the intention that you will torture her. You will harm her. You will make her life a hell. So I don't want to send you away. You have to, Quran says you can stay in my house. You have to stay, but I'm going to make your life difficult. Allah is forbidding that do not do that with the intention of harming. The waiting period has been given you as something nice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you can wash away your mistakes, you can clean your minds and you can join again in that period. But don't abuse that time so you can torture the woman, you can harm the woman. So that's what being said. So let's understand that. وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ, Allah is saying when you divorce the women, فَبَلَغْنَا أَجَلَهُنَّ, so when they have reached their term, completed their term, which is the divorce or waiting period has expired, then you can do two things. As soon as, let's say, they are living together still, and now the waiting iddat has gone, so they have to separate and go away, because now you don't have any permission to live together unless you remarry. But without remarrying, you cannot live in the same place again as a husband and wife, or anyway. So Allah says when that period has reached and it's completed, and Allah says then man has to do فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, keep them, remarry them and join hands again. أَوْ سَرِّحُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, or send them away. They can do whatever they want to do with their lives, but don't do one thing. وَلَا تُمْسِكُوهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا, do not keep them with the intention that you will harm them, you will torture them, you will hurt them, you will force them. Allah says don't do any of those things. وَلَا تَمْسِكُوهُنَّ, tamsikuhunna is imsak, holding back, keeping, don't keep her so you can make her life difficult. Allah forbidding that. If you do that, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ, whosoever would do that, فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ, he has actually done wrong to himself. Allah's punishment will befall upon him if his intention is that after divorce is done, he still wants to keep her or make her life hell in one way or the other way. Allah says, do a clean divorce, go away, let her marry, let you marry, however you want to proceed your life. But don't continue doing those things which will make her life difficult in the future. And there will be many things. If she doesn't have nothing to live on, or there are something else that you can continue making life difficult for her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forbidding them. Allah says, وَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا آيَاتِ اللَّهِ هُزُوًا, do not take the verses of ayat, or the verses of the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a jest, as a joke. Don't make joke of the ayats of the Quran. Quran has clearly defined the process of the talaq, and I regard this word huzuwa, making fun, laughing, jesting, ridiculing something. Don't do this with the ayats of Allah. Quran is clearly telling you the process of divorce. This halala is actually making the ayats of Allah as a joke, as a jest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect rest of the people from the trap of these people who are taking and making the ayats of Allah as huzuwa. Then we will continue. There are more ayats about talaq in Surah Talaq itself, which is Surah number 65. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this surah is again defining very, very clearly, more details, more explanatory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding in this ayat, first one, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that tell the people, the follower, how to do the talaq. Ya ayyuhan nabi, Allah is addressing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ, tell your followers, the people who have believed, that when you are divorcing the women, فَطَلِّقُوهُنَّ, then divorce them لِإِدَّتِهِنَّ, for their waiting period. Divorce will not happen immediately in 5 minutes. There is a iddat, that iddat has to be completed. That is when the talaq will be. And then وَأَحْصُلْ idda, and then it is being told to the men, count that period. Count, keep track how many days have gone. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Keep track. Ahsu is to surround, count, keep account of something. Idda is the period, waiting period. Keep track of the waiting period because it's a very important period. Many things will happen. You may recombine to each other. At the end of the period, you may remarry to one another, or you don't need to remarry to each other. And there are many other things that may happen. All these things have to be settled in between. Allah again in this ayat is specifying, the ayat continues, La tukhrijuhunna min buyutihunna. Very important things. Buyut is the plural of bayt. Bayt is the house where both of them were living. Allah says, is commanding the people, those who have believed, La tukhrijuhunna. Hunna is used for the females. They, women. Hunna word is used for them or they for female. Hum is used for the males and hunna is used for the females. So men are being commanded here do not force them out from their houses. The houses that you are living, don't push them out. Tukhriju is ikhraj, expelling. Bim buyutihinna, from the houses they used to or they were living until today. Wala yakhrujna. Now this is being told to the women, you yourself don't go out. Stay in that house. When the iddat is started, divorce has been spoken, iddat has started, both of them are being instructed, stay in the same house. You do not push her out, she should not go out herself, because good possibility that reconciliation may take place, because Allah says actually after that. But one condition, illa an yatina bifahishatin mubayyina. Fahish is fahash, indecency. Mubayyana is very clearly, very openly. Yatina, they bring. So woman said, wow, what the heck, he divorced me. I'm living here, I can go and have fun with another man. Allah is forbidding that. If you find she is doing that, then it is done, it's over. She has to live in the same house with respect and dignity. He has to live in the same house. The period of iddat has to be completed. Until then, both of them have to wait patiently and follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, unless the woman does this act that she started doing some fahish things. Allah says that's a different thing. Then Allah says in the next part of the ayat, why He is telling men and women both, they should not expel or she should not leave. Why? La tadri, you don't know. Allah is saying the purpose of keeping them in the same house with respect for each other after the divorce has been spoken, period has not ended yet. Allah says, La tadri, you do not know why I am telling you these things. لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ يُحْدِثُ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ أَمْرًا. This is a possibility that Allah may bring some alternate situation. Allah can produce, Allah can create a situation where they will feel for each other that, yeah, I cannot live without her. And she said, I cannot live without you. All right, whatever, difficulty had come, we will just forgive each other. Allah says, stay together. Actually, I have heard from my elders that in that time, in that duration, the woman is supposed to dress beautifully, keep herself nice looking and clean, so the husband gets attracted again back to her. And then before the iddat ends, they just say, forget, we are not divorcing. Or if the iddat ends, they can remarry to one another. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing the opportunity for this marriage to survive and last as long as it is possible. Now Allah says after that, in Surah Talaq, ayat number 2, Surah 65, Allah says that if Faiza balagna ajalahunna, if that ajal, that period that was iddat has gone, finished, then Allah says, فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. If you want to keep her after that, remarry her. Or فَارِقُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, or do the firqat, send her away, say, we both are done, you go and do whatever you want to do, we are finished. So much repetition from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to follow the true process of the divorce, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, and further more and more explanation in Surah At-Talaq. Allah says, when you send her away, وَأَشْهِدُوا زَوَا عَدْلٍ مِّنْكُمْ, make two just, honest people, family, friends or someone, as the witness that we are ending the marriage. She is going her way, I am going my way. Okay? Very important thing that two witnesses should be made. And actually I appreciate in the Ahle Tashih Hazrat, the divorce has to be given in the presence of two men. In Ahle Sunnah, they can just declare independently to one another, or he can declare to her, I divorce you, and the matter is over. Quran says, make the witness, wa ashhidu, make witness, zawa adlim minkum, two just and honest and respectable persons among you. They should get involved in that process of divorce. وَأَقِيمُوا الشَّهَادَةَ لِلَّهِ. Allah is telling you and me and everybody else who are not part of that marriage, make sure you give the witness for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't walk away and say, I don't want to be the witness of that. I don't care for that. No. If you are invited to be the witness of this whole situation, be there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is respecting that thing. Then two more ayahs, and then we will go to the end of this thing. In the next ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is ayat number 232, a very important thing of the family structure is being told here. First, let me explain, and then I will translate that. When the divorce happens, first time husband told her, I'm divorcing you, the period has started, it is not finished yet, she goes to her home. And then after a few days, he realizes that, we need to get back, we need to reconcile, or we need to remarry, all that process. At that moment, especially the relatives of the woman and sometimes relatives of the man, they stand in between. They say, are you going to marry her again? Are you going to marry him again? Are you going to live with him again? They attack the woman and try to insult that he makes your life so difficult and you still want to remain married. They stop remarrying. They stop rejoining. Allah is forbidding to the people, to the relatives, don't do that. Let's translate the ayat. Allah says, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. When the man, you have divorced the women, فَبَلَغْنَا أَجَلَهُنَّ. When their iddat and period has gone, and that's it, they want to remarry. Allah in the next word, which starts with the word fala, if you look at that, this word fala is going to apply to the people, relatives, to the families, to the mothers, to the sisters, to the brothers. Fala ta'duluhunna, do not stop them. Do not keep them remarrying or rejoining the previous husband. An yankihna azwajahunna, that they go back and remarry their previous husbands. Don't stop them. Don't stand in their way. They have realized their mistakes. They have already gone through the process of iddat and difficulty and torture and this and that. They realize we cannot live without one another. They want to remarry before the third time. They want to remarry. Do not stand in their way, stopping them from remarrying. That's what exactly the meaning is, that فَلَا تَعْدُلُهُنَّ, telling the relatives that do not stand in their way, do not prevent them أَن يَنْكِحْنَا أَزْوَاجَهُنَّ, that these women go back and remarry their azwaj, their zawj, their previous husbands. Iza taradaw, when both of these parties have agreed. Taradaw is from razi, razahuna. If they both have been agreed that we can remarry one more time or two more times, and this is the first time they want to remarry, they have agreed with one another. The relatives are being told here, do not stand in their way. Let them remarry. Then let them join to again in the marriage bond of marriage. Bainahum bil maruf, kind with the kindness and the customary. Now, in the ayat number, this is the last ayat number 65, Surah 65 At-Talaq, there are two special conditions here are mentioned which may apply to every divorce or may not apply. One of them is that if the period, when the first time the talaq happens, husband said to the wife, talaq, I give you divorce, and period count has to start. But for some reason, the woman's cycle is not known, or she has some issue that she doesn't know when she started having the period. Or sometimes women don't have the period. So Allah says, what you do, how do you count in that way? Iddat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Salasata ashhur. Ashhur means months, it's a plural of months, 3 months. The standard has been made that for that case, when the exact process is not available to you, then make it this a 3 months waiting period. That's the first. The second condition is that وَأَوْلَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَن يَدَعْنَا حَمْلَهُنَّ. If they are pregnant, if it is known that the woman is pregnant, then the iddat will be until she delivers the child. It can be 8 months, it may be 6 months, it may be 5 months, it may be 9 months. If she is pregnant, then the count of the iddat will end when the child is delivered. So these two are the exceptional cases. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it very, very clear. Nothing has been left. So you have to go and ask someone what is the process of divorce. Quran is very clear. Ulama have written the tafasir on these things. The ayats themselves are very, very clear about the process of divorce. We have made it so difficult. The families are destroyed. Children's life is basically goes to waste. They fight to each other because they divorce to each other and are not given the opportunity to follow the way Quran is teaching, to join, to recombine, to reconcile. All those rights have been taken away in some Muslim societies, and the matter has been only handed away to this one man who has an halala office in his building. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, help us to understand the Quran. I'm really surprised that why these verses of the Quran are not explained collectively in a society. In a Muslim society, especially in India and Pakistan, everything about divorce is against what Quran is telling you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give tawfiq to our scholars, to our elders, to our common people to learn from the Quran what is the right way of doing the process of divorce. It will save the destruction of the families, the destruction of the children, the future of the children. And poor women sometimes live all her life, if she has 1 or 2 children, unmarried, depending for her livelihood on others, on relatives and parents. The life becomes totally miserable. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us guide and understand the true meaning of the Quran. So inshallah I will stop here. I'm sure there will be some questions that will come out of this thing. This is very different than what we have been told by our elders, how talaq should take place. May Allah forgive us. Sadaqallahu Rasul. So inshallah we have questions now.
It is not a question, just to add that you have done a very good job, especially you prepared a paper and clearly ayah from Quran. And as you said, there are some people who are doing wrong things. What I suggest that if this paper is distributed among our young generation, because talaq and this thing more common in them. So if some from mosque side or administration, if they get together some youngsters and this paper is distributed and explained to them, I think it will be more.
Say it loudly.
So I will repeat, brother is saying that the ayats of the Quran are explained in this paper. It should be distributed more so other people may come to the knowledge that yes, the verses of the Quran are being explained to the common people. By the way, we already broadcasting live, so many people are watching at homes. After that, we put these videos on the YouTube, so a lot of people watch that and they continue watching that. And in those videos, I attach this thing so they can download these things also. So we try to promote as much as possible. So this is basically, we do all of that, and inshallah continue doing that. So, okay, do you have some question, brother?
Yes, God. I have three questions. Number one, it says that when man did all time, then the woman has to remarry somebody else and all that. I mean, I think in this the assumption is that it is because of the women's problem that the man has divorced, right?
Okay, let me answer you one question at a time, because these are very important questions.
So yeah.
So he has three
I'm
questions.
not finished yet, please.
So, okay, go ahead, because you are assuming something which is incorrect.
Well, let me finish one.
Okay.
You can answer that. In the assumption is that the women have to get married to somebody else and then come back. Now, how about, how do we determine that whose fault was it that the divorce took place? Number one, why the woman has to suffer that she has to get married to somebody else and then come back? No, Bill, I'm not telling you, but I just want to understand. So, first question is that one. Why-
Let me answer the first question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nowhere in the Quran it says that woman has to remarry, the previous husband, she has to marry another man. This is made up by the Maulvis. This halala is made up by the Maulvis.
I'm not going to halal.
This is exactly halala you are saying. Halala, women, if the 3 divorces are final, or even the first divorce is final, okay? She does not have to remarry to him or any man, okay? If after the first divorce, she, without marrying a third person, she can remarry to the same man. So after second divorce, she can remarry to the same man. After third divorce, she is not allowed to remarry to the same man unless it naturally happens that she marries another person, they live 20 years, and after that man dies, she doesn't have to marry this first one again. All these are made up things in the society.
But how do you assume that the woman is the one who wants the divorce? The man, maybe he wants to get rid of her and wants to marry another person, another woman.
He's allowed
He's the one who's
to.
doing the divorce.
She is, no, that's fine. She is allowed to remarry. Even after the first divorce iddat has been completed, she is allowed to marry another person. She doesn't have to remarry to the same man.
But she doesn't want to get divorced.
If he doesn't want, well, again, that want and not want is a different thing. That's what Quran is saying. If it happens, this is the solution. Who wants what? That's their choice.
Actually, there is a couple of things here. Number one, Islam allows a no-fault divorce. A no-fault divorce. Okay? In other words, if I want a divorce, and it's a no-fault divorce, I have the right to it. Now, this ayah about a man divorcing a woman, remarrying her, divorcing a woman, remarrying her, is really, the rationale is for the man not to have this arbitrary right over the woman to divorce her and marry her, divorce her and marry her. Right now, hold on. Notice the words that if he has divorced her, that is the third time. So if the woman wants to protect her marriage to this man and not go through marrying a third person, she can take the divorce. And then she has the option to come back to him.
Say something. I'm saying in this case, a man is divorcing the woman for his own reason. The woman never wants to get divorced. And this man keeps doing that. Now, if the man wants to get married to her again after the third time, she has to go and get married to somebody else.
She doesn't have to go and get married.
But she wants to. He wants
No,
to
because he may not marry
What
her.
I'm saying is, you are saying it is unfair to the woman.
Yeah.
If the woman still wants to get married to him after the third time, she should say that I am divorcing you. At that point, her option is open.
Very good. See, this
So that is what the khala is written here. That is what it is. Fi maftadat bihi. She has to say, keep your car. I don't want it. I want to get out of this marriage. She is allowed. And you missed the beginning part of my presentation. This process in Quran happened because in Arabia, the marriage and divorce had become a joke. A man would divorce, she will go, come back, I want to remarry, I remarry, bring you back. Then get married again, divorce, and going on 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, for example. Allah stopped all that. He says, you can play this only twice. After that, you're not allowed to marry this woman again.
Okay, fine. Second question. Second question is that you said that after first talaq, the women should live in the same house, right?
Allah is saying, I'm not saying, it's a famsiktuhunna bimarufin.
No, I know. Let's not quibble on the semantics, but my intent is that this is what it says, right?
Yeah.
Now it says that if the woman is not doing some hanky-panky, then he can say right away, hey, get out, and that's it. How about if the man is doing hanky-panky? and the
She
woman-
can get out.
Huh?
She can get out.
Yeah, but I mean.
Yeah, no, it's a suggestion, it's not a force. Both of them are being advised that there is a possibility. Allah says, La tadri, you don't know that if you stay in the same house and be kind and nice to each other, maybe you will re-attract for each other, and then whatever mistakes were made, they can be forgiven, and then life will continue. So the opportunity is being given. Today, that opportunity is taken in 5 minutes. Today, by speaking 3 times in one's breath, the family is destroyed, Quran is being made joke of, and everything is being done wrong about it. In my own family it has happened. Okay.
See, what you are struggling with is the counterbalance. The balance on the man is that if he's divorced the wife, he's got to, when he remarries her, he's got to give her dowry one more time. He's got to start all over again. That's the counterbalance on the man. The protection of the woman's right is that she is free, and this is something new to Islam. It wasn't allowed in Christianity. In fact, it's still not allowed in the Catholic Church. The woman says, I don't want to be with this man. Here, take your dowry back, I'm gone.
Yeah, khula is one of the conditions, the word fi maftadat, if fidya, give back to this man whatever he gave, I'm getting out of this. So in khula, this is usually practiced because the amount of meher is so huge, 10 lakh rupees, 100 million rupees, all that rupees. Poor man, if he wants to divorce, he cannot afford it, to give it to her. So purposely, this amount of mahar is kept by the relatives so huge that the man cannot even imagine leaving her, even though life is a hell for both of them. So for her, Allah has given actually better opportunity for her. She can get out by saying, keep your money. Yes.
The question is, when it says La tukhrijuhunna min buyutihinna, but what if that doesn't mean that they have to live together.
No, it's a suggestion from Allah.
No, not only that. I'm saying they cannot reconcile, they cannot live together.
Yeah.
So women don't have to go out, but men can go live somewhere else.
Well, what is being said, not living in the same house. Not staying in the same house. In generally, at that time, the property owners used to be the man.
Yeah.
Okay? But in today's society, things are different. The house may be owned by both of them, or it is mostly paid by the woman's salary. In that case, the man has to go live somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
No.
They don't have to live together.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
The only reason Allah is advising them that try your best to stay in that house, that you may realize your mistakes and you may reconcile to one another, or you may remarry to one another.
So I think two things, not that they don't have to live together, at the same time, the man cannot ask her to leave the home, he can leave, but not her.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. This is all the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using the word bil maruf, again and again, almost many places. What is bil maruf? Bil maruf has two meanings in Arabic. A customary thing that happens in the society, respectably, that's called maruf. Maruf also means a kindness. So out of the kindness of the heart, you do your best to the other party. Don't become enemy of the party all of a sudden. Try to be kind, try to be nice, and also try to do what is appreciated in the society to do that. That's a customary thing. So both are encouraged in the ayats, both ways.
I think the order is for the husband not to expel his wife from the house unless she brings a clear lewdness act or something like that, fahisha. So,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But it is beautifully said, it's called Bahute Hunna.
Their houses.
yeah.
So it is,
So-
don't displace her from her space.
Yeah, it's actually a very good point. Allah, the word hunna is used with the buyut, which means this is their house too. Even though you are the owner, but this is their house too. So do not expel. Quran doesn't say buyutihim from the man's house. It says buyutihunna, their house. Faisal Saab, you have a
I
question?
just want some clarity. On 227, when you talk about husband has more right to take wife back after divorce is pronounced.
Yes.
When you say more right compared to other men.
Another man.
Okay, I just want to.
Yeah. The man who was married, Ba'ula is the person who was already married. He has more right to remarry her after first divorce is finalized than another person outside. So it's actually good suggestion being given to the woman that not only that he has right, she doesn't have to do it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promoting this idea that in the sight of Allah, marrying to a new man and ruining the other lives of the children and this, that, see if you can find a softness in your heart and remarry the same man.
This is again a device to make a reconciliation. happen.
Yes, exactly. Well, no, the reconciliation time gone because iddat is over, no more reconciliation. But after the divorce, iddat is finished, then you can marry. And as I mentioned, some people were not here. Remarrying is such a simple process. You don't have to bring a qazi. You don't have to bring two witnesses. Just the man and woman will sit next to each other and they will say, we remarry, but they have to announce it. Announcement in marriage is very, very important. So they are being told that they can remarry very simply because this is their personal commitment. They are recommitting themselves and telling the other people, especially the other men who were waiting that, oh, once this woman is out free, I can go and send my message of marriage to her. They are being told no more. They have to join the hands again. Hey, one minute, yes, Abu.
I think in this verse it is not, and a haqqu is not with respect to the other husband. It is that the husband has the first right
Yes.
to say whether I want to be in this marriage or not want to be in this marriage. But then later on it says that the wife has similar rights. But it is the husband that has to first say, do I want to be in this or do I not want to be in this? And then the wife can decide for herself, does she agree or does she say?
So the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a conditional statement, in aradu islaha. If they want reformation, correction in the situation, reconciliation, if their intention is that, then they should rejoin themselves. Okay, 1 second, Tasdaduq Saab, let me answer your question.
Yeah, so I number 229, at-talaq marratan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what we have heard so far, some time is that it's 3 times. So what is 3 times versus this one? Is it?
No. This is saying talaq marratan, divorcing 2 times with the iddat finished, you are allowed to remarry. Fine talaqah, then if the 3rd time it happens, no remarriage.
So how do you?
So 3 divorces have taken place. 3 divorces have taken place, but after 3rd one,
How do you give talaq then? You have to say 3 times?
no, you don't have to say 1 time. You have to say only 1 time intention to the woman.
But that's what I'm saying, like in Pakistan.
This 1 or 3 is made up stories, okay? There's 1 and 3 has no sense in Islam. I think I'm very happy that I heard that the Indian government has banned this thing. Is that true?
Yeah.
Indian government legally in constitution has banned the 3 times saying the word of talaq to the Muslims.
Pakistan is still happening like that.
Pakistan is still happening and halala is still running nicely
No, but
there.
you still have to say talaq to.
Yeah, but at the same
No, but you can say talaq 50 times. It's a 1 session of talaq.
Yeah, you cannot.
Saying word 3 times does not mean anything.
Yeah. So you have to say it at 3 different times, not at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 times mean 3 sessions. Each session has a duration that has passed in between.
Right.
Hafiz bhai, I think the biggest thing for me is exactly that, right? Culturally, in the subcontinent of India, it is so different. Now that, you presented this in this nice, clean and simple format, I mean, many of my confusions have been cleared. So thank you for that.
I have a question. The iddat mentioned many times,
It's
kind of muted in here. Maybe there are other discussions about what are the best practices during the iddat period for the husband and wife in question. What's culturally practiced that I have seen in my relatives and family, that those families get involved and everybody become counselors. Try to either mediate, wield their power, whatever it is. On the other hand, other extreme, where husband and wife do not want to involve relatives at all, they go secular counselors, MFTs, marital counselors, and try to remediate. Or there's maybe some Islamic ones as well, I'm not sure. So, it looks like reconciliation is a very encouraged term here, meaning ideally you would want to reconcile if you can. But what are the best practices during the
So as the Quran says that first of all, do not leave the house. If you cannot tolerate, that's a different thing. But stay in the same house, both of them, so you can feel regret of the starting of the divorce. You can feel the love. I cannot live without her. So she can say I cannot live without him. So and as I heard that woman is encouraged to present herself. They may not have the relationship, physical relation or sexual relationship, but she is allowed to present herself in a way that he feels more attractive. So if that and property has not been divided yet, nothing has happened yet. Iddat is going 1 day at a time. If in that duration they both agree that we have to live together, then the word reconcile is being used. They can say to each other, let's forget, we will remain husband and wife. You don't have to do anything. But if the iddat passes, then legally, in the Quranic terminology, they are not husband and wife anymore. They are 2 independent people. They both have the permission to marry, not marry, do anything they want to do. Okay?
But there might be some issues that with mediation, because they're so emotional and subjective.
Yeah.
Just having them just sitting there in the house, there might be they might need additional help to work out the issues, and they might be beyond their.
There's nothing wrong in that.
So what are the best practices there? What are
Well,
the guidance?
you have to look at the cultural values of that. And Quran leaves you open for that.
Wife side, So that is the best practice. But if you want to do something else, that is Quran has not forbidden. In your case, what you are trying to say, I guess, is if he goes for counseling to another person, so he or she can go that. But what Quran mentions is that one from husband side and the other from the wife side, they should sit together and try to reconcile with each of them.
Actually, in this country, the law here, marriage law is such that when they file for divorce, for separation and divorce, first thing which is suggested either by the lawyers or by the judge, that have you been to a marriage counselor yet? The judge would ask, or lawyer would suggest it that have you been to a marriage counselor? And if they have not been there, they strongly advise that go and sit down with a marriage counselor, so maybe your marriage can be saved before it ends up in a court. So societies do that. I hope that we do, but this is what my experience is, that the relatives are the ones who actually try to break more, then try to make it more. Okay, so may Allah save us. There are many questions. Let me answer
I think,
Dr. Saab, you have a question. Just one at a time. Tasadduq Saab.
There is no mention about sexual intimacy.
No, once the word divorce has been spoken, they cannot have any relationship.
No, what I meant is, there are two marriages in Al-Quran where the man has said to the girl that I'm not going to have any intercourse.
Okay.
Okay. Then the one
Yeah.
one RF, she said, I'm not going to live with you, and she asked for no for divorce. The other one, she became destitute.
Uh-huh.
And then he had a lot of money, he didn't give a penny, and she became handouts, and she's living like that even now. The other woman, she took a divorce, put in the paper that she wants to find a husband, and she got married, and she has children and all that. Now, in any of the ayahs about intercourse, is man supposed to have?
Okay,
intercourse
so
and
the question is that the intimate and physical relationship.
Yes.
Okay, in the Quran, there are many places, for example, in one surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that man, they could say, actually in Surah Baqarah first it says that ila, the word yuwalluna or ila is used. And he said, I'm not going to have anything with you to do. That's all. And then he leaves her hanging. So Allah says, be clear, if you leave her hanging, then a period of 4 months will pass, then the process of divorce will start. So she has been given the right that if the man doesn't want to have a relationship, he just leaves as a servant or a naukarani in the house and doesn't do anything. She has the right, Quran says after 4 months, this word is ila'un is used in the Quran, that she start, the process of divorce will start, Allah says that. In the other places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has strongly condemned those men who would say that you are like my mother. They would say to the wife, you are like my mother, which means you can live in the house, you can serve me, but I'm not going to have any relationship with you. That's all. Like you're sacred, like my wife. Allah has very, very strongly condemned that attitude of the males. And the purpose of the marriage is to enjoy the physical intimate relationship with one another. Now what happens that, how it works, how it doesn't work, that's a different thing. But Allah doesn't enforce you that you must have the intimate relationship. You can have a second wife. She cannot have a second husband. Tasadduq Saab, you had a question. I don't know the answer to that.